Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan Battle video. In this video we are going to be taking a look at the performance of INT Dabura from the Bubba Shop after his recent Extreme Z Awakening on DBZ Dokkan Battle Global as a part of the revamp for the Bubba Shop units. So this Dabura is a INT-type lead of 90%. He also raises defense for one turn on a super attack, which is pretty decent but nothing crazy. He's very similarly built to all the other units, with 120% attack and defense when performing a super attack, plus an additional attack and defense of 30%, and a great chance of stunning with 3 or more key orbs. He'll gain an additional 50% attack and defense if he obtains 5% key orbs, and he will also gain 10% additional attack and defense for INT type units if he gets 4 INT orbs, and he's a 30% support for INT type units. Overall, he's got Fear and Faith, Brutal Beatdown, Nightmare, Shattering the Limit, Master of Magic, and he's also got Resurrection Plan, Majin Buu. So he's got a very interesting link set. He's not in a lot of teams, but he is a pretty interesting option. I will say one thing, he links pretty well with INT Janemba, so he could be pretty interesting on an all INT type team. And he does augment the INT item, free to play supports. He's also great for nuking teams that are based on one type, so it's nice to have a unit like this. One thing that would have been great, I think personally, is if they gave these guys orb changing, but it's all okay. So here we can see him, no good links at all, no support on the rotation, 78k defense, that's pretty good. He's got strong link sets as well, so it's not like he doesn't have decent links. It's just he has a very particular link set. Sharing the Limit does help him though, and personally I built him into additionals to make use of his great chance for stunning, because I think SBR and ESBR is really where this guy is most impressive as a unit. At least for me, I think he is probably most impressive in that scenario. He links up pretty well with 2 free-to-play options in the form of the AGL, Bobbidi and Dabura, and the physical Bobbidi and Buu, which is pretty cool. Obviously, a big thing I think with these guys is them being type supports is kind of the main function of these units. They all a lot better in the second and third slot. The Bubba Shop units, they're not necessarily designed to be like these predominantly first slot based units, and they all have some kind of gimmick. Like Dabura has the ability to stun, whereas Master Roshi has the ability to have guard. Here we have 96k defense, still not a lot of links active, and still not the extra 10% that we get from getting 4 INT orbs, but 96k is pretty good. Remember, after he fires a super attack, that's going to change to over or around the 200k mark, which is pretty good considering he gives 30% support to INT type units. Now the big thing is he doesn't give that support to a lot of units that I would say are primary links with him. He has like Kid Majin Buu, the INT one, who I think is a unit you might run on his team, but unless you run an extreme INT team, you don't get a lot of major INT units on his teams. I think you get a couple good INT units on Terrifying Conquerors, which you can run him on, which is pretty good, but they don't share a lot of links with him, so he'll more just be a floating support that supports the INT units rather than anything else. And you could do that with him. He still has pretty decent defense after super. He still obviously has the stunning mechanic, so like I said, he could be a useful option for ESBR, SBR, etc., but I just don't see him being a primary go-to option, like some of the other units maybe. Here we finally have him linked up, although we're not able to get good orbs, which is a huge shame really for him. Tried to organize him to get some decent orbs, but just wasn't really able to, but it's okay. It's not really a big issue. I think we've seen pretty good signs from him as well. He'll be very similar to Master Roshi, so whereas Master Roshi at his max capabilities was you're getting 101,000 or so with 50% support. Dabura will be the same. He'll be sitting around that 101, 105,000 defense situation, which will be good when that defense kicks in after his super. He'll be sitting with 240, 250k, which is pretty good. It's solid for a free-to-play option, and it's solid for a unit that you're looking to use for a lot of starter basic kind of content, which I think is pretty good stuff from Dabura, at least from my viewing of him. But yeah, I think we've seen everything we need to see from him. Obviously, let's take a look at his link set, and let's discuss what you need to get to make Dabura tick, and what links you should consider when you run them, which I think is not a lot, but yeah, we'll take a look at that and then obviously see how all of this comes together in terms of team building. So I think it's pretty obvious in terms of links overall. I think there is a pretty obvious kind of metric to move them into. Fear and Faith is a strong key link that's pretty versatile across a lot of villain categories. Then you have Shattering the Limit, which is a more free-to-play orientated one. Then his other links are a bit all over the place. Master of Magic, Margin Resurrection Plan, Loyalty. These are strong links individually, but only really common amongst Dabura units. They're not really links that are super duper common. You do get some. Brutal Beatdown, Nightmare. These are links that are worth investing into, but generally speaking, if you can just get a key link for Dabura, that's kind of where you want to stand with him. You don't really need to invest too hard into his link set. He's not a unit that you're going to be running a main rotation with, and he's more a soft floating unit. He also doesn't have big bad bosses, so there's no real incentive to kind of go in too deep on link leveling him, or to even link level him at all. Yes, he does have some great free-to-play partners, but the same kind of applies to them. It's not really worthwhile to link level them, even though they are pretty good. I just don't really see it as being super mega worthwhile as an investment. Interestingly enough, he does link up pretty well with Metal Coolers and Janembas. A lot of them have Fear and Faith, Nightmare, Brutal Beatdown. Shattering the Limit is also somewhat common, so there is some kind of mix there that works. His best linking partner is the AGL Dabura from the Super Dragon Ball Heroes campaign. He's by far and away his best linking partner with 6 links, but the AGL Babidi and Dabura and the physical Boo and Babidi also share 5 links with him, and they're free to play and a lot more accessible to get than the AGL Dabura. So yeah, they look pretty good. This unit looks pretty good, just a little bit kind of wonky when it comes to his link set, but I think overall he's a nice solid addition. It's always good to get an additional free-to-play character, especially one that's a type support, one that stuns. Like I said, the big problem I see with him is just that his link set's not great, but beyond that, he's got everything in the kit. He's nice to use. He's going to be a good option for some free-to-play ESBR if you're looking for a filler against the extreme INT ESBR, or maybe against Terrifying Conquerors or things like that. Dabura will be a pretty solid pickup, and yeah, I think overall he's pretty cool. Like I said, he's a pretty fun unit. You can run him on a couple teams and see how he goes. On an extreme INT team, he has a couple more options, but nothing too wild. But like I said, in Janemba, probably the most notable unit that he can do some work with, but he is missing some of the crucial links, but could be a solid support to run alongside Janemba that'll get you some pretty solid results. So yeah, that's basically it. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like and let me know what you think about Dabura. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next time. Till then, bye.